With the recent declaration of mass murder in Avengers, the Kang Dynasty, it is only fitting that Ant-Man is one of the prime catalysts or a heroic sacrifice in this next installment, especially as Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania seems to be leading us right in this direction. If one thing is for certain at the end of Quantumania, it's that the story between Kang and Ant-Man is far from over. The vague ending we get hints directly at something significant being on the horizon, and I fully suspect that this is all leading towards Ant-Man's death by the hands of none other than Kang in the next Avengers movie.
You're an interesting man. Scott Lang.
Ant-Man has never really been a major player in the MCU. Sure, he is a key member of the Avengers in the comics, but in this universe, his role has largely been relegated to comic relief. But he does have heart. The character dynamic he has with Cassie, Hope, and Hank are some of the more fleshed out relationships in the whole MCU, and I think it's all building towards Lang's inevitable demise. As without someone there to mourn the loss of a superhero, we just simply won't experience the full emotional impact that comes along with it. Think Iron Man's sacrifice and the toll it took on Peter Parker. Ant-Man is one of the few Avengers left who has relationships in place that will make his death truly resonate with the audience on a personal and emotional level. And we haven't even looked at what this could do for Kang. Sure, Kang is menacing and powerful, but until we actually see just what He Who Remains is so afraid of, we have very little reason to believe he can fill Thanos' shoes. This begins with Kang murdering Ant-Man. It really would set the tone that Kang is not here to mess around, and someone like Scott Lang shouldn't even stand a chance against him. As effortlessly as Kang has killed the Avengers before.
You're an Avenger. Have I killed you before?
I expect Kang to squish Ant-Man with ease. Kang's appearance in Quantumania doesn't really make much sense without looking at the bigger picture. Why would we get Kang, the next Avengers level threat, in an Ant-Man and the Wasp movie, only to come out second best? No, it wasn't to kill off Ant-Man in his third and final solo movie. More on this later. But instead, it was to deepen the animosity between Ant-Man and Kang, so that once Scott dies at the hands of Kang, it is a fitting conclusion to his story. But it's even bigger than this, because the impact Ant-Man's death will have on Cassie and the inevitable young Avengers is reason alone to pull this off. If you don't know the young variant of Kang, Iron Lad is a founding member of the Young Avengers. The discomforting position this will put Cassie, who will have to not only work with a variant of her father's killer, but learn to trust him, is a whole new relationship dynamic that the MCU could explore head on. But customs, why then wasn't Ant-Man killed off in Quantumania? One of the many complaints that I've been hearing from fans who are disappointed with Quantumania is because Marvel didn't bite the bullet and kill off Ant-Man. Would this have set up Kang as a serious threat? Undoubtedly. But there are multiple reasons as to why it just wouldn't have worked in execution. Let's start with the obvious. Avengers, the Kang Dynasty, is still over 2 years away, and that's assuming no more further delays. Do you think Ant-Man's death would have as huge of an impact if Kang kills Lang 2 years before the real battle begins? Let's look at it this way. Imagine in Iron Man 3, if instead of Aldrich Killian as the main antagonist, we get none other than Thanos. And not only do we watch Thanos go toe-to-toe with Tony Stark, but Thanos ends up murdering Iron Man, to show just how much of a serious threat he is. Shock factor off the scales, but then we wouldn't have gotten to experience this.
And I am Iron Man.
I fully expect Ant-Man to die at the hands of Kang, but it just won't have the same impact if we were to experience it without any immediate repercussions, and it doesn't even make much sense from a narrative standpoint. Throughout Quantumania, Cassie, not Ant-Man, is concerned with helping the little people. Cassie is the one who rallies the rebels against Kang. Cassie is the one who insists that they fight in a war that isn't theirs. Things are happening to Ant-Man, not because of Ant-Man. And this is an important aspect to consider. Ant-Man should not be the one to make the big play, because Ant-Man is not the driving force behind the conflict. Quantumania showed us that to Scott Lang, he is an Avenger.
I'm an Avenger.
He saved the world alongside Cap. He has done his part for society, and his fight is over. But the fight is never really over, and this is still the crucial development Lang needs to grasp. Only then will Ant-Man's death actually mean something more than simply protect family at all costs. Ant-Man's motivations are not to protect the rebels. He doesn't really care about helping them until Cassie wants him to. Rather, only once Cassie's life was actually threatened do we see Lang take the situation seriously. Ant-Man is self-centered, and that's okay. But to suggest that this version of Ant-Man should die when his arc is clearly not finished would have been a huge misstep, designed only for shock value. Expect to see a different Lang the next time we see him. One that accepts he was wrong for thinking his fight is over. One that is inspired by Cassie to help the little guys out. Not because he has merit in the fight, no, but because it's the right thing to do. Expect to see Lang make the sacrificial play, not simply to protect Cassie, but for Cassie to live in a world worth living in. Quantumania may have its flaws, but not killing Ant-Man was never one of them. If you enjoyed this theory, be sure to check out my other Ant-Man theory on why Kang wasn't actually defeated in Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. See you next time.
Your daughter built a subatomic Hubble telescope in a basement.
Tony Stark was able to build this in a cave with a box of scraps.